Hi, this is John Wren, and this is the Startup Show. We're each Friday at noon Mountain Daylight Time to talk about startup. Today, we're going to talk about how do you start a career in politics. And we're putting together something in Colorado that, if it works here, I think might spread to other states. And it is the UN Party, UN Party, unaffiliated voters banding together to be of service to the major political parties. Now, this is not something to start a new political party as we think of it. This is a volunteer group, and it will be very much a bottom-up type organization in the spirit of anybody being a leader that's not actually boots on the ground working with their own neighbors. And we're just made a media release on this that hinted towards it. This went out yesterday. Save the caucus, vote no on initiatives 140 and 98. Now, 140 and 98 together just totally rip our system of government apart. You know, it's not so much who's president, but are the grassroots healthy? And they are not healthy at all right now. And so we're going to be suggesting this UN-Party, unaffiliated voters, and you can become a member of the UN-Party very easily here in Colorado. There's online registration. You go to just Google Secretary of State, go to the registration section, and you can switch from Democrat or Republican or whatever else you're registered as. There are some other minor parties. But if you become an unaffiliated voter, we're going to figure you're with us, and we'll be trying to get in contact with you. And we're going to build an organization that's unorganized. It's going to be of service from the top down, trying to facilitate many, many different trials of various kinds so that people in their own neighborhood will do what seems to make sense for their own neighborhood. But group activities, one-on-one contacts, welcoming newcomers, these kinds of things can make a huge difference in how our Colorado caucus goes. You know, the main difference between now and 1912, when we first started with the caucus, is neighborhoods were much more neighborly back then. And we're going to try to re-neighborly the neighborhoods with the UN-Party. And if you're a millennial, you want to get involved in politics, I'm saying this is how to get started in politics, because the best way to do it is to realize, first of all, that it's a long distance race. And getting involved in something like this, where you work with both major, or maybe all three major political parties. I don't know if the Libertarians come on strong, you know, it may end up with three parties, but you can go directly to a major political party, but you may not fully understand what the party stands for. It may be what your parents did, and so you're going along with that, or it's the opposite of what your parents did, so you're rebelling. But if you are of service to both political parties in some way in your own neighborhood, and you just help people know where the caucus is and how to participate, not only will the caucus be much better in 2018, but you're going to be able to see the difference between the two parties up close and personal. And after a cycle of doing that, then affiliate with one of the parties and be in a much better position to move forward quickly. Now, the caucus is under attack. The one unifying thing that we're going to all have in common, well, actually two. One is that you know, there is more to this earth, Horatio, than is dreamed of in your philosophy. That there is this dimension of life that's not necessarily scientific or mechanical, and you know, some people call that spirituality. We're going to call it Socratic spirituality, and we're going to talk about this tonight at the Socrates Cafe, or I'm going to suggest it as a topic. And this is all sponsored by the Small Business Chamber of Commerce, Inc. Totally all volunteer, no budget group. I'm the main volunteer, but we've got about 8,000 people online that have something to contribute from time to time. And we are moving in the direction of trying to maybe make that more than it has been. But our message is that things just don't start the way that you think that they do. So it may be that you are going to be watching this now, whenever that is, if you're watching it live on YouTube live events or Google Plus on-air hangouts, you're watching it. If you like it, send it to someone who you think might benefit from this, that would like to start a career in politics. It might become an unaffiliated voter, be a volunteer in their own neighborhood between now and the caucus of 2018, and then after that, affiliate. And this whole thing, whatever this thing is, might go away. This is a project of the Small Business Chamber of Commerce, Inc. Our main purpose is to try to help people do more good work, but the focus is on startup here each Friday. So this is how to start a political career. And really the way you start a political career is by contacting the people that live right around you. All politics are local, and today, even more so, all politics are hyper-local. That means that the best marketing strategy is what we were told 2,000 years ago: connect to the people that live next door. Those are the people, and then they connect, and it spreads. That's really at the root of most political strategies. Now, technology has changed this somewhat over the last few years, and that's part of the problem we're experiencing right now. You know, the absolute fact is, I believe Gary Johnson, the Libertarian candidate, might be a breath of fresh air. I'll never vote for Donald Trump. I'm not so sure about Hillary Clinton. I was a Hillary Clinton delegate, but there's stuff coming out about her. So when I look at Clinton and Trump, unless Gary Johnson really comes on strong, I think it's kind of a waste of time to even spend 1 second in a presidential campaign, or to spend $1 in a donation to the presidential campaign, because, and especially in our system of government, our Constitution is strong. We have a system that the president can't do too much damage. Now, they can do damage, and I'm not saying that I'm happy with this, but the fact is it's not going to get any better unless we do something different. And the different can be, what we're encouraging people to do is with this caucus club. And we've set this up on meetup.com. We've got 10 principles. We're going to be having our organization meeting next Tuesday, and we'll go over these principles. And I want to share them with you now because they're different than you normally think of. This is the Caucus Club's draft of our guidelines. Please save the caucus again. We promise to restore it this time. This is what's wrong. You know, back in 2002, we saved the caucus with your help. We saved the caucus. We won 60%, 40%, despite being outspent 1,400 to 1, because people loved the caucus back then. And they'd seen it prior to our mistaken trial with the presidential primary. Everybody's talking about this presidential primary in a very misleading way. You know, it's not that we're going to go back to the good old presidential primary. We've already tried the presidential primary, and we know what it does. It kills the caucus. Now, why does that matter? It's because the caucus is the very best chance the average ordinary person has of serving in elected public office. Without the kind of system we have here in Colorado and a few other states, you know, the powerful forces keep beating it back. They're after it here in Colorado with 140 and 98, which we need to defeat, but they keep beating it back because why would the rich and powerful want the grassroots? You know, they come up with their grand plans or their candidate, and all of a sudden the grassroots has to be convinced. Well, I sort of like that. I think that the average ordinary person has good common sense that's sometimes lacking in academia and the elite. Now, I'm not against them. I think there's a place for, you know, well, highly trained lawyers and engineers and so forth, but they're not the ones that should be choosing the direction of our country. And if we get talked into just all stepping aside and going to the sideline, I don't see any possible way that we're going to maintain the kind of society that we've had here for the last 235 years in this country, and we're at the tipping point right now. So we're asking you to join the unparty, unaffiliated. I'm going to be doing that myself. I was thinking of setting a particular day, but I think it's just by, you know, the end of September or so. Change from, and I'll tell you something else, almost nobody knows this. If you're unaffiliated, In the primary elections, you can affiliate with the party of your choice at the time you vote. Now, if you're not unaffiliated, if you're affiliated with as a Republican or affiliated as a Democrat, and you go to the polls, that's the way you have to vote. You can't vote in the other party unless you change something like 30 days in advance. And so if at the last minute there's a reason that you see someone needs help and they're in the other party, if you're registered unaffiliated, you can help them. Now, some people will play a bad game with this and they'll be voting for who they least like to see run against their favorite candidate in their own party. I don't know what we can do about that. That's just the way it is. And but these changes that are being proposed, they put up this excuse that the unaffiliateds can't participate in the primary election. Not true. They have more of an ability to participate as they want than the person that's affiliated as a Republican or a Democrat. And this, so anyway, we'll talk more about 140 and 98. What we're talking about today are these caucus clubs, because I'd like you to maybe think about that as a way to start a political career. Maybe that you're a recent graduate, maybe you're in college still, and you'd like to get involved so that you can make a difference over the long term. Maybe eventually you'd like to serve in elected public office. We have a mechanism here in Colorado that can help you do that. And the best way to learn about it is to teach about it, to teach civic education in your own neighborhood. I will be talking with college campuses about this, getting all young people that are interested in politics to help carry the message of how the caucus system works out to the neighborhoods. And this is going to be very loosely organized. Let me read you the guidelines. Number one, since 1912, the best chance for the common person to serve an elected public office or to help other good people get elected is our Colorado caucus, as I've just been talking about. If we let this go away, it's going to be impossible for the average ordinary person to compete unless they have some backer. And then they're just kind of like a puppet on the string. But the caucus system allows the average ordinary person to serve and to be beholden to those people in their district. They represent them, but not to some outside influence. So it's a powerful force to counteract what people generally dislike today. The people just buying the office because they can spend so much money. Number two, it doesn't matter who is U.S. president if the grassroots are dead. I really think that's true. You know, we can have the best president in the world, but unless the grassroots is playing an active role, what we've done here for the last 235 years is going to change radically. Number three, it takes a neighborhood to have a caucus. All politics are hyper-local. So what we're focusing on is building the neighborhood, and every neighborhood's different. So as a neighborhood leader, you put together whatever you think is going to help your neighbors come together. Now, there are all kinds of ways to do that, but all politics are hyper-local today, which means that some of these larger neighborhood designations are too big, and we need to chunk that down. Who is your neighbor? The people that live next door to you, and maybe the people they know. But you go out too far, and it's not really the neighborhood anymore today. No rules or objectives. We each just do what we can and what we want to do now to help. And so every neighborhood, we're encouraging people to say, okay, I'll do something. Now, we'll talk more about what you, oh, let's do that right now. You know, I've been doing the Small Business Chamber of Commerce, and we have 4 types of groups that we do. Now, those aren't the only 4 groups that are possibilities. We've got Root and Branch, which is open to people who are needing to bounce a little bit. They've had a bad setback. Root and Branch. Idea Cafe Startup Workshop, Imagination. How do you have an idea? Go forward. Socrates Cafe, which helps critical thinking ability. And Franklin Circles, adult self-directed learning groups. And maybe one of those groups would help in your neighborhood. And you can go online and see more about them on our smallbizchamber.org site and just get them started. You don't have to get a license. You don't have to have special training. Now, I'll be glad to help you. If you call us, we'll provide help. But those aren't the only groups. It might be that you want to do a great books discussion group, or just an informal, casual book discussion group of some sort, or maybe a monthly, strictly social get-together. My favorite is an alarm clock party. Leonard Rowe, we lived in a really wonderful neighborhood, and this man, Leonard Rowe, every month would be the spark plug on this, and we'd all come together in the neighborhood. Everybody'd bring whatever they wanted to drink and enough hors d'oeuvres for 6 people, sort of a hors d'oeuvre buffet. And they call it an alarm clock party because when the alarm went off, everybody had to go home. And they found if they didn't do that, then there were these long, lingering meetings that, the next month nobody wanted to come. So the last alarm clock party, I think, that was ever held in that neighborhood, Leonard died just before the party, and they carried him out on a stretcher to the ambulance, and we never got together after that last one. And it was very sad that it died with Leonard. But that's what it takes, and that you can be the Leonard Rowe for your neighborhood, and maybe write something about it. And we'll share what's written. This is going to be the Federation of Autonomous Independent Caucus Clubs, if you want to call them that. You can call them anything you want. But if you come up with a way to get your neighborhood together that is helpful to your neighborhood, we'd like to know about it and share your ideas. And over time, we think that this will become more and more of a self-organizing institution. And I want to step aside as soon as I can. I'd like to find someone to co-lead this effort with me right now. And we'd like to find someone for each county, and then the person in each county will help facilitate finding somebody for each precinct, roughly. Sometimes the precincts are way too big too, and you need to chunk down. But the idea is if we can get healthy, not toxic, these are not a substitute for anything that's out there right now. If you're a very staunch conservative, this is not an extension of your conservative club into your neighborhood. This is a different animal. The one uniting factor here is we're all in favor of the Colorado caucus. Now, does that mean everybody goes to the caucus every time? No. Part of the message is that this is a relay race. And when the time is right for someone, they participate, and then they pass the torch. I think the best way to do it is to go to one, see what's happening. 2 years later, go and really participate fully. And then the third year, 6 years, the third cycle, train someone to take your place, because you're either going to go up to a district or county level or the state, or become a political candidate. And if you're not going to do one of those things, most people want to just step aside. Now, there'll always be somebody some people want to do it every time, and that's fine, but not everybody. So this excuse that, well, people are busy, they have little kids and they can't participate. Well, that's right. It's not every person every time. This is how political parties choose their candidates. And if we strip the political parties of all power, who gets hurt? The average ordinary person that wants to run for elected public office, because this caucus system is the best chance they have. And so this idea that it's undemocratic is just lunacy. It's manipulative. I believe it's propaganda. I think the people that say that know exactly what they're doing. Now, they're going to raise millions of dollars, apparently, and do an advertising campaign. And one of the reasons these caucus clubs are going to be important is because I think that's the way to compete against it. Because if we're talking with people one-on-one across Colorado, there's just absolutely no way that their ads are going to have the intended effect. Because anybody that understands the Colorado caucus and then understands the presidential primary, it's like night and day. No one would be for switching to a presidential primary except the manipulative power brokers, the, Tammany Hall Bosch Tweed type political leaders that want to give themselves more power. That's what the presidential primary does, because it kills the caucus. We know it here in Colorado because we've tried it here in Colorado. And anyone that says that's not true is lying. They are. So this is a wonderful system. There's no problem with the system. There was a problem with leadership. If you went last March 1st, and it was the only time you ever went, you're probably not even watching it at this point, and I don't blame you. It was disgusting what happened. But we had men in charge of a system that, instead of trying to make it work, they're trying to kill it. And now, sure enough, here they come with this initiative. Twice it's been killed in the legislative body because legislators and their constituents knew that this is a bad idea. Now they're going out and having testimony around the state, and they're going to put, and there probably are some things that could be improved. But killing the caucus would be a big mistake. These caucus clubs are a way, it's a third way to participate in politics. It would be the best way, I believe, to start a new career in politics. And that's if you want to run eventually yourself as a candidate, or if you want to help other good people get elected, you need to stick with the Colorado caucus. Vote no on 140 and on 98. The other things on this list, and then we'll finalize this. We're going to have a steering committee meeting on Tuesday, and we'll finalize these things in our approach. But to put together some sort of a formal organization that takes positions, there's no way to do that and make it just strictly educational. And then if we make it, you know, either the one side or the other is going to hate it if they feel like it's the other side's voice that's getting heard. So we're going to be trying to be as even-handed and fair in this as we can, sort of like the League of Women Voters used to. But now they take political positions. They always did. I don't know that. But I know they did a lot of civic education that's not around anymore. We're also going to try to encourage people to get connected with churches, with schools, with whatever is in, with libraries, whatever's in your area, and also coordinate with other people that are doing the same thing through their caucus club in their neighborhood. What we envision is that you'll go up to a door, someone new moves in, and we'll have ways that you can, you know, we'll probably email you when there's somebody new moving into your neighborhood. Or there are other ways that you can do that on your own. But somebody new moves in, you go and say, hey, I just want you to know about the caucus club. We'd love you to come. Here's what we do in our neighborhood. It's an alarm clock party. It's a Socrates cafe, a discussion group. It's a great books discussion group. Whatever it is, you invite them to something. And then you say, by the way, here's the name and phone number of the precinct committee people for the major political parties here in our neighborhood, and we hope you'll think about participating. If you're new to Colorado or just new to Colorado politics, as we get closer to the 2018 caucus, we'll be doing some joint civic education with both the Republicans and the Democrats for people here in our neighborhood. And this is a wonderful thing. It strengthens our neighborhood. It's every 2 years we get a statewide civics lesson. We think that the local politics, especially here in Colorado, are much stronger because of this. And because the local politics are so strong, national candidates really pay attention to Colorado. And so if you don't know about those things, that's why I'm here. Welcome to the neighborhood. And then it will go on from there, very possibly. But more will be revealed as we go forward. A lot will be revealed at this steering committee meeting next Tuesday. It's a meetup.com group. If you go to meetup.com/caucus-clubs, it will come right up for you. And you can RSVP. Now, the steering committee meeting, you really do need to RSVP because there's a very, very good likelihood that we're going to change the meeting place. It's been announced as Little Owls and Cherry Creek, but chances are we'll be moving that. So be sure to RSVP if you're interested in this point. A lot of our meetings for the Small Business Chamber of Commerce, you don't need to RSVP. Walk-ins are perfectly welcome. That's especially true this afternoon. Idea Cafe Startup Workshop, and that's at 4:30. Then following it at 6 is a Socrates Cafe. Both of these meetings tonight, Friday, 4:30 for Idea Cafe, 6 o'clock for Socrates Cafe. They're both at Panera Bread at 16th and Market. So it's the Lodo Panera Bread, 16th Street Mall. You can take the shuttle to it from either direction and get off at Market. And 16th and Market, they're both a lot of fun. 4:30, we share startup experience and do a brainstorming technique to address specific concerns. So whatever you're involved in, bring it as a topic, and you'll get some ideas. Now, we don't tell you what to do. We don't even say if it's a good idea. We don't vote, tell you if you should. Who knows? If you've got a new idea, a lot of times the only person that really recognizes the total full value of that is the person that's thought of it. And, to have the arrogance to think that anyone can judge that for you is absurd. In our market economy, the market renders the final decision. And so that's why we encourage people to get to market as quickly as possible. Don't be foolish. Think of ways to chunk it down, save money, try to get out and start collecting. And now, am I a hypocrite? Yes, because that's not what I'm doing with Small Business Chamber. At least I haven't to this point. We're going to monetize it some way, though, because at some point I'm going to quit doing this because I dropped that or I just get tired of it. And as of right now, there's not much to take over. And if I don't have money coming in, but don't worry, I'm not hitting you up for money right now. I won't for the foreseeable future, I don't think. Well, maybe I will, but not this afternoon. 4:30, Panera Bread, Lodo, and then at 6 o'clock for Socrates Cafe. Neither group needs any advanced preparation. Walk-ins are welcome, so just show up and see what you think. Now, tomorrow night, Saturday, we have a Socrates Cafe, University of Denver. It's in the Anderson Academic Commons, the old Penrose Library. We're in current periodicals where the comfortable seats are. That's from 6:30 to a quarter to 8 or so. It's usually when we call it quits. Tomorrow we're going to talk about Flannery O'Connor's short story, The Barber. And she talks about a political situation that's very much like today. And so I'll be offering it as a topic if people we pick the topic at the meeting. Normally you don't know what's coming up. And this may not be what comes up because the people at the group decide. But I'm going to suggest that we talk about Flannery O'Connor's short story, The Barber. And I'll give a very brief synopsis for people that haven't read the story because the summary I think is useful. Also, it's a great story. Read it if you can. It's online in a number of places on our Facebook, my Facebook page, John S. Wren. You can find it. I tweeted it out, at John S. Wren. You can find it on Twitter. Or if you Google it, it comes right up. There was an Atlantic article about it that is really worth reading, and then they've got a copy of it. So just Google Flannery O'Connor, The Barber. In Atlantic, if it doesn't come right up, I think it will. Well, that's it for the Startup Show for this week. We're here each Friday. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, give us a call, 303-861-1447. We'd love to have you here sharing your startup experience. If you want help starting an idea cafe, a Socrates Cafe, root and branch group, attend one first, and you can see the schedule on meetup.com. You can access that through our website, smallbizchamber.org, and just come to a meeting. If you'd like help starting one in your neighborhood, we'd be glad to give it to you, or you might just want to do it, and that's fine too. So this life is way too short, and we like to remind ourselves of that each week because that kind of gives us a little bit of a push. Let's get started. Tomorrow it might be too late, so let's start now. Maybe I'll see you this afternoon. Idea Cafe, 4:30, Socrates, 6, Panera Bread, 16th at Market. This is John Wren, Small Business Chamber, saying, start a caucus club. Help your neighborhood, help America.